Let's speak now to Andrew K P Leung. He's an international and independent China strategist, and he joins me now live from Hong Kong. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, the pattern, if you heard our correspondent earlier, he was saying as well that the pattern is becoming more obvious in showing that the U.S. is trying to gather allies to really isolate China. Pompeo even called on India just a few hours ago to work with the U.S. on the, quote, challenge posed by the Communist Party of China. What is the endgame here?
Well, it's not only just now, but already evident for quite some weeks that the United States is engaged in heightening kind of 360 degrees pushback against China on all fronts, on technology, on trade, in the South China Sea, on Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Xinjiang, all over the place. And it's now rallying allies. It's not only just India, but also Pompeo just visiting the United Kingdom and finished visiting Denmark. And of course, it's rallying the Western allies. Push back against China. It seems to consist of several fronts. The first one is to impose sanctions on China and try to slow down its economy. And secondly, trying to delegitimize and also demonize China as a threat to not only to America, but to the entire world on human rights, on intellectual property. China is seen to be not doing anything right, but also kind of drumming up the rhetoric so that the whole world is united against China. Because
but I mean,
don't forget,
if the U.S. gets its way, which it seems to be on course to do, because it's rallied enough support around various causes that the United States can easily argue stand in the name of democracy and the shared values of certain Western allies in particular. So what will China have to do in order to bring things back to where China would want it? Do they have to go to the negotiating table? Is China going to have to make some concessions?
No, I don't think that this is national sovereignty, for example. The national dignity is not negotiable. I mean, if countries feel that they are unfairly bullied, unfairly demonized, and no country can take it heads down, least of all China, because don't forget China's have this history of humiliation at the hand of foreign aggressors. And of course, there are problems in China's external relations. For example, on trade, it seems to be have a number of practices which are undesirable. And as China grows stronger, its neighbor feels a little bit threatened. But to demonize China 360 degrees, and I think that some countries which are more clear-eyed would see through it. But most importantly, China's largest trading partner to 124 countries around the world, compared with only 76 in the case of the United States. And China is embedded in the world supply and value chain. And although some decoupling is happening, it's not possible to be 100% disconnection.
Still, though, it is what it is. You can say it's unfair, but still, if the U.S. pushes forward on this, and we just saw how the U.K. was willing to take another economic hit, really, in order to ban Huawei on the grounds that it compromised the UK's national security. What is China going to have to do? Because we're seeing more and more countries on the opposite side willing to compromise to isolate China. So is China willing to compromise as well to stop it?
Well, I think firstly, a lot of, as I mentioned, 124 countries that China is the largest trading partner. Most of these countries, for example, in Southeast Asia, do not want to take sides. They don't want to be entirely fending for China, but neither do they want to be against China 360 degrees. Because China is now the greatest trading partner, a lot of economic interests involved. Secondly, I think China's less dependent on external trade compared with before. According to the latest study, by McKinsey and various other institutions, China is now much less dependent on trade, and whereas the economy is more driven by investment, internal investment, infrastructure investment, as well as internal consumption. Internal consumption is now accounting for a much larger proportion of the Chinese economy. So, and thirdly, the pushback against Huawei have served to just heighten China's sense of security, and is now accelerating more self-reliance in high tech, in cutting-edge technologies. In fact, the Chinese technology is not entirely backward. It is leading in 5G, for example, and even in quantum computing. But in terms of key core strategies, China is accelerating more self-reliance.
Okay, Andrew Leung, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to leave it there. We appreciate it.